Okay, so the adrenaline one versus the cortisol, it's two ways we're going to look at it. First of all, how do you know your adrenaline? I guess you got to look back in time. For example, the reason I'm saying this is I have examples where females and males have came to me and they've went, look, I remember when I was younger or before this incident happened, I was a go-getter, I was really confident, I was assertive, all of these things, and then a series of events happened and it physically changed. So we've talked about the behaviours, the habits that can kick in, which can mould us to be different people. We kind of lose sight of who we were and who we are. The adrenaline person will naturally have a little bit more spark in them. They might have that little bit more aggression, a lot more aggression that they need to learn how to control. Okay, so the traits, I don't need to go through them all again. Okay, we had our task involved in regards to going through the cortisol. Now, if I was naturally an adrenaline individual, but at this stage of my life, I have developed a habit that I'm a very negative mindset, that I allow others to affect me, that my main emotion is fear, and so on. The only thing you need to remember, it is going to be a lot more extreme and detrimental to you, okay? Because everything is amplified. Okay, the high adrenaline individual is the person you think about, the Michael Jordans of the world. Simple as, okay? Everything is extreme. They want every last detail covered. They can have elements of OCD and so on, okay? So I guess it is up to you now to really be honest with yourself, number one. Don't tell yourself, which I've also had clients who are convincing themselves, no, I'm not a natural leader, because they have spent years telling themselves that they're not a natural leader. So please remember, when you're young, as that daring person, that courageous, almost bowled, curious, all of these words will describe a young person who has a natural high adrenaline about them. Okay, they're they're ballsy, they push things. They're the child. If you're a parent, they're the child that will test your patience. They'll push. They'll keep pushing the boundaries. Versus the child who goes in on themselves naturally. That's what I'm trying to talk about here. If you had undamaged 5 to 6 year old kids and you said, oh God, one child is completely different than the other, and so on. Maybe if you're my age, 30, 33, in around that, you might ask your parents, what was I like when I was younger? What was my brother like? Or no, what was my sister like? And so on. Okay, and that's where you're going to get a lot more, honest way of doing this stuff. The second part I'm going to talk about is basically energy. I am going to be sharing a link with you throughout this journey, which is very out there in the sense of it is almost in the line of the spiritual side, and I suppose it's called hologenetics, and we'll talk about it further as time goes on. But it may open your eyes, and it may sound very familiar to you when you read all of these different, let's call it, purposes. So for some people, it's quite out there. For some, they're very taken back, and they say, wow, this is extremely accurate, and this is for me. So the reason I'm suggesting and dropping this in here now is because of the energy side of things, okay? Again, the traits we talk about lastly would be, you can be perceived as arrogant, cocky, and so on, okay? I have some of them here behind me as well. That natural leader in life, different traits, they tend to be that. They're very passionate, can have quite a short temper, okay? But they can handle large amounts of stress and so on. But unfortunately, as I said, the human mind, we talked about it in the cortisol, 95% unconscious, 5% conscious. So you may have been a very strong female, you may have been a very strong male, and you allowed a partner, a boss, whoever it is, to domineer you, to put you down, to break you down bit by bit. And it is up to you, if you're at that point in your life, you have to take that power back. It's as simple as that. You have to understand, it is time for me now to take back this bit of power, this bit of ownership, stand up for myself, and then you will see that energy radiate off yourself. So really, guys, that's all I want to say on the adrenaline. It is the very same process in the sense of the way we talked about how to go through the cortisol and how to go through the traits. And just be careful, as I said, if you remember, yeah, I think I am the high adrenaline, but you have to be careful because it will be extreme. And that is the point of this video. If you go down the route of jealous, anger, hatred, all of them negative traits that you've seen on the emotional chart in the cortisol video, you're going to suffer way harder than the person who may not have that intensity about you. And that's the last word I'll say. You can be described as intense sometimes. As I said, I'm genuinely a high adrenaline individual. Like I spoke in the cortisol, of course I've entered those traits at times, but naturally you carry that bit of presence. You are assertive. You try to do things really to an extreme level. And you may struggle with a bit of balance, and that's something that will come in time. So that's all it is on this, guys. Again, repeat the process, okay? And finally, if you're reading them all and you go, nope, I'm high adrenaline, brilliant. All I would say to you is make sure you have a balance. Make sure you're able to switch off and just rein it in a bit and know your crowds, put it that way, okay? Because you will burn out your adrenal gland. So you need to be really, really careful if you're on full time, okay?